In 1990, all of Fort Ord, fence line to fence line, 28,000 acres, were listed as a Superfund site because of contamination from a chemical called TCE that leaked out of the Fort Ord landfills. Subsequent to that, the Army completed an entire investigation over all of Fort Ord. When Fort Ord was an active base, there were approximately 300 underground storage tanks that held fuel in motor pools, just like we have in back of us today. But those have all been cleaned up. What was contained in those tanks was mainly diesel and other kinds of fueling pieces that were used to fuel the trucks and the cars that the Army used. Those tanks have been removed, and there's been no groundwater contamination from any of those fueling facilities.
We do not know for sure that there is any live unexploded ordnance in the area of CSUMB, but the possibility continues to exist because the base was used as an infantry training base for nearly 70 years before CSUMB Monterey Bay was established. The type of munitions that possibly exist are similar to those that are indicated here on this board. Mostly infantry type weapons, mortars, rockets, grenades, that sort of thing. As we continue to do a military munitions response program, which began with the closure of the base and will continue for probably another 10 years. The process is rather methodical and requires removal of vegetation in the areas of the ranges where we know live ammunition occurs before we can do a removal action. So that procedure can take as much as a year per unit, and we have at least 23 units in the process. The areas where ranges are not known to exist continue to be monitored in case we get a response for an item that might be identified. When that occurs, then the units are notified and an emergency response is initiated to take care of that. Fort Ord was initiated in 1917. We have found rounds that date back to near that period, so the types or the ages of those rounds or projectiles that might still exist are from the First World War to the end of the Vietnam era. Age actually does not contribute to the instability of a typical round. There are variations in that, but the majority of the time, the older the round gets, the less likely it is to function. Some of the rounds which are back to the early 1900s may still be caused to function, but they require a considerable amount of intervention by somebody. Both the sand dune bunkers and the ammo supply point on the beaches have been thoroughly examined. We do not believe that there remains a significant potential for unexploded ordnance to remain in that area. Our examination and removal action in that area did not discover a lot of unexploded ordnance or discarded military munitions. The procedure for responding to military munition discovery is described in our presentation and available to interested organizations and individuals through our community relations program. It's also described in our pamphlet, The Safety Alert, as to the procedure and the likely condition that one might discover military munitions in. Also the phone number for the response.